Volunteers needed. On this episode of The Devil's Workshop, it's Zach Hilditch's We Bury the Dead. We Bury the Dead is set in the immediate aftermath of a catastrophic military disaster in which a U.S. experimental weapon detonation wipes out the entire population of Tasmania via an electromagnetic pulse. The story follows Ava, an American woman who joins a civilian body retrieval unit. Driven by a desperate need for closure, Ava deserts her post and partners with a free-spirited volunteer named Clay to journey into the restricted quarantine zone to find her husband's remains. As they navigate the haunted, desolate landscape, they discover that some of the dead are reanimating. However, rather than being mindless flesh-eaters, these undead are intensely driven by a psychological compulsion to complete the emotional and physical tasks they left unfinished in life. We Bury the Dead is currently streaming on Hulu. Welcome to the Devil's Workshop podcast. I am your host, Nick Oliver.
And I'm your host, Katy Oliver.
And this is an exciting movie for us to talk about because it is the first movie to come out during the span of our podcast existing.
Oh my gosh, that's true.
Yeah, I think it's our first movie made in the 2020s altogether.
It only took 20 episodes to get here.
That's right.
We got to talk about the elephant in the room here.
Okay.
This movie's like classy.
Yeah, this is a classy movie, which is a nice change of pace after Wrong Turn.
Oh yeah, after much of the dreck and the drivel that we've covered so far, this is I think this movie gets at some of the classiness that, say, like a ghost story kind of aspires to.
Yeah, in a very different way. I mean, this is certainly an outcropping of the recent spate of what you would call prestige horror.
The A24 style.
Yeah, this is not A24. At least I don't think it is. I don't normally pay attention to studios.
I don't think so.
Really.
No, it's not.
I think this is Neon, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe I do pay attention to studios. But in any event, this is sort of a in that sphere. It's on this show, so it's not as successful as it probably wants to be.
Mm-hmm. Or could be,
yeah. But it comes awful close. I think this is an interesting one because I think it was really mismarketed.
Yes.
I
don't like the title of this movie I don't think it corresponds well to what the movie is.
I like the title, though. When I was looking up the tagline for our introduction, I was like, man, this is the worst tagline we've ever read on this show.
That could have been better.
And it does not fit for this movie, for sure.
And let me clarify. Sorry, I don't dislike the title. I just don't think it suits the experience that the movie actually is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds more sort of cavalier, more jaunty.
Really?
To me, it sounds a little more like Evil Dead-ish.
Oh, interesting. No, I really like the title for this, actually.
Okay,
yeah.
well, fair enough.
I don't have that same takeaway. I can see why you would. I mean, it could have a jaunty quality to it. I think that the movie was... I did see a trailer for this.
Yeah.
We did. Because we were saying we saw this movie in the theater.
But I mean, sorry, we saw a trailer.
And we saw a trailer for this in the theater. I don't remember what we were going to see where they played that. But I remember thinking it looked really good.
Yeah.
But it seemed as if most people who watched this, if you look at Letterboxd, you can read user reviews, you get the sense of what people were anticipating when they came in for this. But I think they thought it was going to be, a big dumb zombie movie or whatever, just, I don't know, like a modern zombie typical idea, right? And this is really, I mean, it's a horror just in the sense it has zombies in it, right? So there are certain things that you do. If you're going to put vampires or zombies in your movie or something, it just becomes a horror movie by default, even if it's not really that.
But I think this is a drama masquerading.
This is a drama. Yeah, this is absolutely a drama.
Yeah, it's like, what if we used a horror premise to explore the subject matter of a drama? Which is interesting. I mean, you know, I think we were talking recently, maybe in our Maniac Cop episode, about like the delight of the hybrid genre movie. And I think that applies here too, you know? Like in an age, we seem to be living in an era where like there aren't really just straight up dramas anymore.
Yeah.
So to get one kind of secretly wearing the, you know, the sheep's clothing of a horror movie, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, that was something that we were talking about this very morning, in fact.
Yeah.
But they don't make comedies really at all anymore. They make comedy television shows, and any comedies they do make, that's just such a TV thing anymore.
But like
so they don't make comedy movies.
comedies.
They don't make comedies almost ever. Very, very few compared to what they were. And they used to be huge, right?
Yeah.
No comedies, dramas, fewer, certainly.
I mean,
you tend to have certain prestige dramas. I mean, you have certain directors who will get that through, but
sci-fi and fantasy are
a lot of
struggling, I think.
Sci-fi is dead.
Oof,
yeah, sci-fi is dead.
Shame.
Fantasy is dead
Though,
as a door
you know,
now.
maybe with like, I don't know, like your Project Hail Marys or something, maybe it'll have a little quickening, a little zombification, if you will.
So like comedies are funny because every movie, like they don't make comedies anymore, but every movie is a comedy.
Yeah.
Also, and I say this as somebody who likes superhero movies, right? I do like that, but every superhero movie is really a comedy, to their detriment, I think.
Yeah.
Personally,
Yeah,
I mean, there are ones where that fits, and that's not all of them. And
But
unfortunately,
there
that's what
should
they
be
all
a
seem
breadth.
to. Yeah,
you
they
know?
all seem to think they should be that.
Yeah.
There are lots of kinds of movies that don't exist anymore. Dramas are certainly on they're far fewer than there once were.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, when we were talking about it this morning, one of the things that I said was like, I miss movies for grown-ups.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be ageist when I say that. I miss grown-up
I'll be
movies.
ageist. I don't care. Whatever.
But this movie feels like a movie for grown-ups to
Yeah,
me.
this is a very adult movie. If you're in for a big horror spectacle, and I say this as somebody who loves zombie movies, to be like,
and spectacle.
And I like spectacle.
Yeah.
I like schlock. I like everything that's dumb.
We just
that's
covered
fine.
Maniac Cop. Loved it.
Yeah, great. But this is this is not that. You would be disappointed here.
It's a somber affair.
Yeah.
But also quite beautiful often. You know, and I think it has some interesting things to say.
Yeah, I think this movie's more successful than it isn't.
Agreed.
I think it makes a few mistakes that I would be surprised. I mean, I'm not sure what our solutions to this will be necessarily, but I think our problems are pretty much going to be the same. Well, I think we're really going to have some consensus here.
Yeah, and
except maybe on the title of the movie.
One of the things that I think is going to be a motif of our discussion, and you can tell me if you disagree, is just that I think that this movie only fails when it grows increasingly conventional. You know, like when it's doing its own thing confidently, slowly and surely, it's super successful for me. And it's when it adopts that more familiar shape of the zombie horror movie that it loses something. But there's a lot to like here. I think, I mean, should we get into it?
Yeah, we'll be right back with the workshop. Well, dear, what's working for us?
Let's start with performances.
Okay.
I think the performances in this movie are across the board really good.
Yeah, everybody's good.
Yeah.
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 So the lead is Daisy Ridley.
Yes.
Which is interesting. That was one of the things that lured me into the movie, actually, because Daisy Ridley, I feel sympathetic to her.
Yeah.
I will say, because imagine if you're a young actor and you're trying to get your career started, and you get your agent gets you Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And how elated you must feel. Like, wow, I'm sad. I've made it. You know,
I'm in a Star Wars.
I'm in Star Wars, and then Star Wars happened.
Yeah.
But she's good in those.
She is.
Yeah.
And I think she, honestly, to me, almost all of the principal cast of the newer Star Wars movies, like, don't get tarnished by their association with the
Agreed.
movies,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
she's a talent. She's
all of them are
charismatic.
talented.
She's a leading actor for sure.
Yeah, she's got the stuff.
Yeah, I get why they cast her in that.
Yeah.
Everything that's wrong about Star Wars, modern Star Wars, is not her fault.
It's not the fault of the cast
Yeah,
in general.
but I've always felt sympathetic to her. So in a way, anytime she shows up in a movie, I'm like, oh, I should watch that. Poor Daisy Ridley.
Oh.
She got screwed.
I've heard that she intentionally takes like smaller / more indie / more experimental projects.
Mm-hmm.
She seems like she's interested and interesting as an actress.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that's the case. I hope it's not like a matter of, necessity.
Yeah, I mean, she probably doesn't need my sympathy.
She
this
has
is
more
this is a
money
me thing,
than
really, but
we will ever.
But
have
I do kind of have
combined.
that attitude towards her. Yeah, she's great,
and I like her. I mean, she's got just such a great face. She's got great presence on screen.
Mm-hmm.
She always feels very self-possessed. Not in like the exact same way as like an Alice Krieger or something, but like she's got a real sort of poise.
Yes,
to her.
I was about to say poise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're starting to talk alike.
I know.
Is that good or bad for a podcast format?
Interesting question. Well, we'll just have to linger on that one, I guess.
We'll check back in 10 episodes and see what we think. But yeah, so in this movie, Daisy Ridley feels very like pulled in and closed off for the most part, and I really like that. I do think there are a couple parts of the movie where the script does her a disservice. Like she has to deliver some lines or like kind of act through some scenarios that I'm like,
Right.
But again, I don't think that is anything to do with her.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think she's quite good. I just like her a lot.
Yeah.
She had, and okay. One of the things I wanted to say too, as a note on her performance, is that this is a very intimately shot movie. The camera really lavishes attention on faces.
Yeah,
it lingers.
It's very
with
close.
Faces. Yeah,
at times.
It's very pulled into her face, and there are a lot of shots that just hold on her, and she has a lot of really beautiful facial acting in this movie. The way she like moves her eyes across the screen or whatever. Like I was just like, yes, you're really good. I just like her.
All right.
Are there other performances you want to talk about?
Everybody's good. Yeah. The cast is so small. I mean, you really do need everybody to be on in a movie like this.
Despite the, supposedly grand scale of the movie, like it takes place sort of across the Tasmanian countryside. Like it feels like a closet drama to me.
Sure.
It feels very, very toit,
Yeah, there's only there are other bit actors, especially at the beginning.
Sure.
But for the most part, there's like 3 characters you spend any meaningful time with. There's her husband, her dead husband in flashbacks. So I suppose you could count
Mitch.
him, but yeah.
A kind of a random note. So for all of, or almost all, as I can imagine, of the dead, those are live actors. Like it's not like dummies or CGI or anything. It's just living people. It's actors and actresses. I really like the dead.
Yeah,
in this
so
movie.
that's the thing that I think really I really respond to with that. So excluding, you get a scene halfway, maybe a little over halfway through the movie where you see a bunch of zombies tied up in a barn, right? So setting them to the side, I mean, they're only really seen in shadow. They're just kind of standing there. There's something like 7 or 8 zombies in the whole movie, which is that really should probably separate this as an idea from almost every other zombie movie, because zombies as a creature, one of the things that's frightening about them, there are lots of elements to zombies, right? So I mean, they're just horrifying to look at, depending on creature design, of course. It's horrifying to imagine people that you love and care about turning into zombies and killing you. But it's the mass of them, right? That's the idea. Like, okay, the world has ended. There's hordes of zombies here. So zombies individually, not such a big deal, typically, unless it's like grandma has come back to get you or something. But zombies as a group, that's a group creature. So you're already working against what a zombie usually is because of how few they are. So that's one of the distinctions that this movie provides that makes it a really good choice and makes it interesting and stand out.
The zombies are extremely individual.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the idea that drives this. So they rise because they have some unfinished task, which depending on their circumstances, they can't accomplish either. That often is the case.
And they're not. There's not like a transmission of zombiehood as far as we know in the movie. Like,
you never see a zombie eat anyone.
There's no eating. There's no biting. All the zombies who become violent I think they just beat.
You don't see what they do.
I mean,
you never actually see them. You never successfully see a zombie kill anyone.
Right.
So you really don't know what they're going to do.
It seems like they just want to beat the shit out of someone.
Yeah, like that. You sort of get the sense that they're going to be physically violent with you. Like they'll attack you, but you don't. Yeah, there's no consumption element
it doesn't.
But you really don't know.
Yeah,
there's nobody. True. You never find a victim, like a living victim of somebody.
Right.
It's just never on screen.
Well, and I think part of that is because their condition worsens, or their sort of mental state deteriorates over time. So we see the immediate aftermath of the incident for the most part, and then the longer a zombie has been risen, the more they seem to kind of degrade and become agitated and violent.
Which is a great idea, I think. It's not wild, but the zombie is like a pretty well established creature, so doing anything new is laudable, certainly. It's a good idea, but it also rings true, right? So if you think about like old people who aren't able to accomplish the same tasks anymore, they become like angry because of their inability to do things. Like it feels right.
Yeah, it feels sort of in keeping with human behavior. People who become agitated because something is being withheld from them, because they're not able to do the things that they want to do.
Right.
And it's worth kind of pointing out, like sometimes on this show we talk about how like monsters are, they're frequently symbols, they're metaphorically or sort of conceptually load-bearing. The dead are always going to be very, very load-bearing because it's like, why do the dead come back? Because fill in the blanks, right? Because they want something, because something was done to them, because they were wronged, because they need to complete some task, and zombies usually are kind of separate from ghosts. Like ghosts are presence and they're like thwarted desire.
Yeah, zombies usually will have like nothing to them. They're just empty.
Yeah, zombies may as well be like natural disasters or something,
right.
Plus like illness or pandemic or something like that. But here, those two things kind of merge. Every zombie on screen has a lot of presence, and it feels like they're deployed by the filmmakers in the film very intentionally.
And not just the zombies, just dead bodies, which is the movie is rich with those. But it's very careful to humanize anybody who's died in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So a standout moment in the beginning of the movie. So Daisy Ridley and her new partner Clay, they're going around on their first day clearing out bodies out of houses because there's so many people who have died. The Australian government, because Tasmania is a state of Australia, so the Australian government gets civilian volunteers from apparently all across the world. To clear out for this massive task of clearing out homes
and identifying,
but that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So they are doing that, and there's a woman who's really overweight, and so they struggle to get her out of a house, which I'm sure that's a real thing that happens in life, right? So
of course.
So she's overweight, and so they put her on the blankets and they're pulling her out. And it's a big thing, and they fall. Clay falls, and
because they put her on a sort of like blanket thing, and then the blanket rips and he just kind of tumbles.
Right.
But yeah.
So he's like, "Fuck this! I'm out of here. I'm whatever." And so he insults her, right?
He makes a disparaging comment. Yeah.
And so the movie, that could have been a joke in a movie easily.
Yeah.
That easily could have just been a whole gag, essentially. So right away, he leaves, and Daisy Ridley's sitting there, and she's catching her breath because it is a laborious task that she's doing. And she sees the dead woman's wedding photo up on the wall.
Yeah.
And sees that, and all of a sudden, like, oh, she was, somebody loved her,
she
right?
She was loved.
Right.
She loved others.
She loved somebody else. And in seeing that, she flashes back to her own wedding.
Yeah.
And so she relates to this woman. She connects with her, despite the
Across
fact that we don't really know her.
Yeah.
She's dead, right? The movie's rich with moments like that. I mean, it is very reverential towards life and death and the people who are gone.
Yeah, and just the ways that death like thwarts our desires, our ability to connect with others. But I love that paired with that is this Daisy Ridley character who wants to connect with the dead. Like she seeks it out to a point or to a degree that other characters are like, Jesus, stop. Don't do that. You're freaking me out. And I think there's something really rich in there. This kind of bridges to a comment that I wanted to make about the tone of the movie. It's very somber, it's melancholy, it's thoughtful, and I find the earnestness of it and its willingness to engage with heavy emotions like very refreshing in this zombie shape. You know what I mean? Like, because I mean, every zombie movie, even if it's a comedy, like even if it's like your Shaun of the Dead or something, like there's usually a moment where it's like, oh God, this is actually really horrible. This is really horrible. But then we're kind of back to the jokes or back to the action or back to whatever frightening sequences, whatever tone the movie is adopting. But this one is just like, 500,000 people died and like,
or whatever number.
We're just going to sit with that for 2 hours or however long, 95 minutes. It's a devastating movie at times.
Yeah, and I really like the opening for that. Like the opening really sets the tone very well. It's very emotional. The situation is well communicated. You understand the characters and their relationships to each other. I mean, everything is done as efficiently as possible, often wordlessly.
Yes. Well, and it's not maudlin either. Like, it doesn't veer into, like, over sentimentality. Like, it acknowledges the sort of the gross parts of, like, dealing with death and, like, the inconvenience of it and the discomfort of it. It's not precious about it. But it manages to strike a really great balance, I think. Yeah.
I actually, so you're picking on the poor title, so I actually want to say something about the title, or I will make some reference to it. One of the things that I think it primes us for something, because this is something I did want to compliment. So I'll tie this all in. So there's a moment in the movie with the RV family.
Yes.
Right. So, which I think for both of us is probably the highlight of the movie. That's sort of the moment where I'm like, wow, I think there is something really special to this movie. So Daisy Ridley's character, Ava, is traveling towards the resort where her husband was believed to be while he died, looking for his body. And she's moving into an RV. She's sheltering for the night because she's walking at this point because the roads are clogged. So she has to abandon her vehicle. She crawls into an RV. Well, the RV is filled with bodies. So she pulls the bodies out of the RV, lays them out next to it. She's sleeping. And there's a noise from outside. Oh, God, she wakes up. What's going on?
And it's also right after she's been attacked. In the prior scene by a Walking Dead person.
So it's nighttime. She doesn't know what's going on. She grabs a weapon. She's like, okay, what do I do? And the father of this family that was in the RV.
A family of 4.
He reanimates. He's getting up. And he goes about burying his family. Right, that's his task that he rises to complete. And so she sees it, and they kind of have a moment of wordless understanding. You can't communicate with them; they don't speak or anything. So they just through their gaze and what he's doing, she gets it. Like, oh, I know what you're doing. And so she helps him to bury his family. And then he crawls into the mass grave that they've dug together and turns and basically says, kill me. Like,
kind of bares his neck to her.
Yeah, like let me die, right? So that's the moment that they have, which is that whole thing works really, really well. Very moving, very emotional. Really good stuff there. So she goes to the resort later and finds that her husband is dead and is not risen. Her husband is not a zombie, which she was kind of hoping for, right? On some level, she wanted to deal with it because she had an affair. She slept with somebody, which he knew about, So she goes there, and he's at this resort for this business trip that he is for his job, and he's also slept with somebody. Mm-hmm. So he's dead. And there's a lot that's being communicated in that because he's not risen, right? So she thought or hoped that their marriage was something that could be fixed, right? That there was something that, I've done something horrible, but I can deal with this. We can talk about it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how to deal with this, but I'm going to get there and we will deal with it together.
Yeah, she wants to dig up the past. She wants to, you know, yeah.
So in arriving and finding that he is not risen, right? His work is complete. So like he's dead. It's over for him. And so because he is not risen, she recognizes that their marriage is dead. Like he did not have, like, what's lingering for her was not lingering for him. He did not need to reanimate to deal with their marriage, because to him that marriage is ended.
Yeah, well, and it's, you know, their problems weren't just that, like, you know, she had an affair and then he did. Like, it stemmed from them having fertility issues.
Right.
And so, you know, there's this sort of, like, lingering seed of discontent in the relationship that she's like, no, we've got to work this
out. For her.
Yeah.
But not him.
But I think, and, you know, I wonder, like, do you read that as Mitch being like, no, this is dead on the vine, and therefore I can just die? Or is it more like, you slept with someone, so I slept with someone, and now we're square, you know? And like, kind of like,
I think their marriage is over,
sure.
And that's why he's not risen. That's how I interpret that.
I tend to as well, but I was curious.
Right. So the movie's called We Bury the Dead. Mm-hmm. Well, she's not there to do that. I mean, the movie makes you think that's sort of the mission. I mean, you understand more or less, like, she's hoping that he's going to be a zombie, right? That he's going to have risen. But that's not her task. Her task is something else, right? So you have a movie that's called We Bury the Dead, which primes you for something, which is not given to you by the ending. What you would think the ending would be. That's certainly what our journey is moving towards. I'm going there to deal with my husband's remains. And what happens at the end of the movie with him, she does not bury him.
That's true.
So she sees they're in a hotel, they're in a resort, so they're looking around, and she actually sees a painting of a Viking style funeral where a body is put on a ship that's sent out to sea and burned. So that's what they do with his body. Which, again, we have not buried the dead. There's an indication here, the way that death is being handled, that we are not actually, that this character has not received catharsis, right? That there's something still left for this character to resolve.
Yeah, well, and, you know, I mean, even like burial as a concept, like, that's, you know, to put something in the ground, to bury it is to suppress it. But if you burn something in an open pyre like that, like, what does it do? It just goes up. It rises into the air, you know, so you're breathing it. You know, like the dead enters the very air that you breathe. So she's still working through.
Yeah. And again, I think in addition to that, that's clearly not the moment of catharsis. Clay has, at this point, he's hungover, so he throws up on the body. Yeah. Like, it's one of the few. It's not really a comedy moment exactly, but it's sort of communicating to the audience. This is not the reverential moment that this movie is actually moving toward. Right. What that is her finding the baby.
Yeah. It's sort of like checking a possible moment of over sentimentality. But then it's kind of our fake out, you know, because, as you say, we get the moment with the baby later. Yeah.
So she finds a baby that is delivered by a zombie we've met earlier in the movie, which for anyone who is put off by that because they saw it 28 years later, these movies were probably made around the same time, so they didn't rip that off from 28 years later.
No, it's one of those, like, you know, a mutual conception of a similar idea.
Yeah. Parallel thinking.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't think of the phrase.
I hesitated for a second too, but
Yeah. I really like the choice to have Mitch just be regular dead. I like that there's just a silence from him. you know, the fact that like she is the one with unfinished business, but thankfully
She has more in common with the zombies.
the dead. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Whereas doesn't. He's dead.
But thankfully, she is able to, you know, enact that unfinished business. Even if indirectly.
When she's not able to resolve herself or her task, she becomes violent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's some serious,
There's
deliberate
thought. There's
choices.
care.
Yeah, these are real choices that are being made in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think.
I'm ready to move on.
Yeah. You know, I think as a sort of summative comment for me, like my feelings on this movie, I think this movie is at its best when it is working as a drama. You know, this is not the first time I had seen this movie. Like, we watched it in the theater when it originally came out, and I appreciated going back to it, knowing all the beats, like knowing what was going to happen, so that I could focus on the feelings, the atmosphere, you know, the small details of like the way people are using their faces and the way people are speaking lines, and the feeling of the movie rather than the what of the movie. And I felt like I was able to appreciate it more this time around.
I do think I also liked it a little more this time.
Yeah. Not that I disliked it or felt, you know, blah on
Agreed.
it the first time, but it's good. This is a good one, guys. You should watch it. So should we maybe talk about what's holding it back?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
So I think there's the big thing, which is the middle sequence with the crazed soldier. That's surely what I think that's essentially what everybody doesn't like about this movie.
Yeah.
We're far from the only critics of that.
It is a considerable dip for me.
Yeah.
I will say there are some things, like there are some mini moments within that whole middle sequence that I do like individual bits and bobs. But the whole thing feels a little rushed and a little stupid in comparison to the rest.
That's the problem with it. Yeah, because I mean, it as an object, I mean, if you just watch this sequence from beginning to end and you forget everything that came before it and you forego everything that comes after it, it works on its own. But that's not really the problem. It's discordant with the rest of the movie.
Yes.
Because it feels like it's something out of The Walking Dead.
It feels like it's something out of something dumber.
Right. That doesn't have the same mission as the rest of this movie does.
And the same sort of sensitivity to its own ideas, you know?
So... yeah, so I'll give a quick summary of what that moment is that we're talking about. So she and Clay have sort of stolen away from the rest of the army because they're not meant to be traveling south. They're meant to be staying with the Australian army, which they don't. They sneak off, basically, in search of her husband's remains, which they are not able to get to it easily because Hobart, which is the capital of Tasmania, where they are, is horribly afire. Yeah. So they're able to get south eventually, but they can't do it right away. Where she's like, I gotta go. I can't. We can sneak away and do this. So a soldier catches them, but though south of Hobart, right? So he's kind of alone, and the soldier, in fact, actually saves them from an aggressive attacking zombie at this point. So the soldier saves them. And arrests them, kind of. Certainly locks her up. Clay escapes. And so she's jailed by him in a sort of makeshift cell. They travel off together. So where they wind up going is to a bed and breakfast that is eventually revealed to have been owned by the soldier's wife's parents.
Right.
And the soldier's wife and her parents were dead there. So he finds them before the action of the movie has begun. So initially it starts off, she's alone, because she's profoundly alone at this part, like in the world, essentially, because everyone in Tasmania, which is an island, died. So there's this burning capital city, essentially, between where they are and anyone else. So she's profoundly alone with this guy. And initially, it seems like he's going to be a crazy. What am I? Is he threatening me? Is he legitimate? Is he actually with the army? What is this? Where are you taking me? And he says some things, and then he kind of contradicts them. And he's like, how do I deal with this situation? What is this?
Yeah.
What situation am I in right now?
They're kind of sussing one another out.
Yeah, and then she realizes what's actually true. That he eventually will admits to it, and she sees photographs in the bed and breakfast and pieces it together. Like, yeah, this is a personal connection that he has here, and he's not a threat to me, right? So they have this big moment. It all works toward a moment where he asks her to dress up in his wife's clothing, and they have a dance. And they play slow music and they slow dance to it, and so that he can kind of fantasize as her being his wife, and can apologize to her.
His chance to say goodbye.
Yeah, right.
To seek closure.
And initially, it's in the audience like, okay, what is this going to be? Right? Is she doing this under threat? Right? What exactly? You're still sort of figuring it out along with them.
Is this like a horror movie moment, or is this just like a sad moment?
So she does it. She puts on the earbud and the music's playing, and she starts to fantasize as he is doing it too. So she starts pretending that, unwittingly or not, she sort of falls into it.
It becomes kind of a mutual fantasy.
It becomes mutual.
Yeah.
Which it breaks down as it progresses, because she won't take her wedding ring off, and that's part of the fantasy.
Yeah, and she also doesn't want to put on the like a false pregnant belly, because the wife who died was pregnant at the time, like heavily pregnant.
So there are elements of this that really, really work.
Yeah,
that really, really work, but the way that it breaks down is really unsatisfying, because the whole thing. Again, you're so primed for these two characters to be in opposition to one another. And when they equalize, and then more than being equal, when they become intimate with one another, in sharing in that fantasy together, it's so moving. And for that to fall apart for us, and him to just turn out to be a crazy person, and to be physically threatening to her, and he's got the zombie wife chained up, and then a bunch of them in the barn, and then she has to kill him to get away. I mean, this whole thing. It's so disappointing. It's such a misstep for this movie, I think, because it threatens to be so good.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That really holds this movie back, because that's something that'll really damage a movie like this, is when it walks right up to the door of doing something really great.
Yeah.
And then at the last second pivots into convention, which is what it does.
Yeah. Well, and like, I personally think that there are a number of ways to make this middle part work. Like, I think you could keep a number of the pieces, just not all of them. And you have to choose which pieces are the most important. Like, either you can have them find solace in one another, and that be like it end on a more positive or a more sort of neutral or ambiguous note. And that's great. That's, something's affirmed or something is gained rather than something just being lost. Alternatively, you could still have the moment fall apart and it be a devastation, because it's like, oh, I've just lost my spouse again. I've lost them a second time because the fantasy crashed and burned.
Sure.
But I think you could even keep like them trying to kill one another, because like they've come to a realization like their worlds are too profoundly broken to achieve catharsis. I think you can do a lot of that stuff, but it's too rushed and it's too conventional, as you say. I mean, because the moment where I'm just like, oh God, every time I watch this movie is when she runs into the barn. And it's not just that she runs into the barn, it's that she sees there's like a blackboard in there where he's tracking the statistics of all of the different dead that he's rounded up. And then he goes out and he's like, oh, I've been tracking them. I've been studying them. And it's like, it's trying to cram too much information in a moment that would probably be more effective if it were kind of silent or just very terse, like the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then like there's this really weird, bizarre moment that feels very tacked on to me where she's like pretending to be his dead wife to trick him
again
because he's so delusional.
Yeah.
I'm like,
she steps out like, I lost my ring, baby.
Help me find it. Yeah. No to that.
Yeah.
That's
you don't
the
buy
stuff
it.
that doesn't work.
Well, the character
for me.
doesn't seem crazy enough.
Not
for
like that.
He's not that kind
Yeah.
of like, he's not psychotic.
No, he's not a lunatic.
No, he's not.
Just
And
profoundly
most of
in
what came
grief.
before this convinced us successfully that he's a tragic character. He's not he's not nuts, right?
And I gotta say too, like when Ava kills him, I'm like, I feel like there should have been some more steps in between, like you coming out of the barn and just murdering him. Like I felt like she murdered him, not like killed him in self-defense.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I mean, that could be interesting too if you have, you know, Ava as someone who is so doggedly dead set on finishing her unfinished business that she becomes irrational. You know, again, I'm open to it.
There's so many choices that are better than the one that the movie made.
Yeah. I don't understand how such a thoughtful and sensitive movie did that.
Yeah, that was a miscalculation for sure.
Yeah. And again, I don't think you have to change this profoundly for it to work, and I think you can keep most of it.
I agree.
It's just you need to understand. I mean, it's like what we're always saying about deliberateness. Like, what are you trying to accomplish in this moment?
Yeah, and it's a shame too because this movie is actually very simple. So the fact that you have this one major misstep, it does a surprising amount of damage to this. The whole affair. It really does.
Yeah, because the sort of bookending segments of the movie are very strong. The beginning particularly, and then a couple of like really sort of punctuating moments towards the end. Really strong. It's just that middle, it's the hinge on which everything turns, you know? And so when you have that part as this sort of saggy, unclear in a good way, or sorry, in a bad way, mess, then it like hinders your enjoyment pretty, significantly, as you said.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
I only have a couple of other criticisms.
Yeah,
being
go
frank.
for it. I have, I think, one.
These are pretty small. I have things that I would punch up on this for sure, but these things are fairly small. Ava's an American. There's really no need for it. The movie just doesn't really do anything with it. So Ava's an American, so she's not from... Her husband is American, which is not relevant, really, because ultimately he's dead. But she's an American. She's come to Tasmania. Everybody she interacts with is Australian. But there's only one scene where anybody's terse with her about it.
Because the sort of catastrophic weapon deployment was an American weapon.
Yeah. So her Americanness really doesn't matter that much. So you wonder, especially if you cast an English actor for this, like, why did this happen? What was the point? I get why America set off the bomb. I mean, America is the world's superpower, and America's political standing abroad is declining actively and has been for around 10 years or so. So I think you'll probably see more examples of America being a nefarious actor abroad in movies. So I think that's interesting as a bit of texture. I have no problem with that. Her specifically being American just doesn't feel like it's used. It doesn't really create tension with other characters. It just doesn't seem like a relevant thing. It almost reads like a studio note, but it's also something you do pay attention to it because everybody knows Daisy Ridley's English, right? So like, why the hell is this?
Yeah, well, and it's interesting to think about because she interacts with so few living people, especially like from the midpoint of the movie on. If there were more of a presence of the living, that would be one thing. But like,
how dare you do this? How dare you come here? Yeah.
By the second half of the movie, no one cares. You know, no one's alive to care.
If for after the first quarter of the movie, she only gets one shitty remark from somebody about it. That's the extent of it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, you know, the overall idea isn't, like, maybe it's meant to contribute to her feeling of, like, placelessness or being untethered, or, you know, it pushes her to pursue Mitch more fervently or something, but it doesn't quite bear out.
Just
I don't think it's like
not relevant.
I don't think it's a huge hindrance or anything. It's just kind of an oddity of the movie.
My other thing was that Clay, her bogan friend. Do you know what a bogan is, by the way?
Is that like, forgive my ignorance, is that like similar to the idea of like a chav or something?
Yeah, I think so. It's like an Australian version of maybe white trash is what you would say in America. Maybe a redneck. I'm sure there are distinctions to be made there, but but her friend I think would qualify as a bogan, the guy who's helping her out. The strip club or the strip party, the bachelor party, they actually have painted on a fence outside, like bogans only here or something. So
right. I remember that.
That's what that. Yeah. Anyway, he signs up for her mission way too quickly. She's like, "Hey, let's go to the I gotta go get my husband's body." He's like, "All right, yeah, sure." He's just on board right away. It's a little too easy.
I think it almost gets away with it for me because he's presented as sort of like an Epicurean or like a hedonist. Like he's like, "Oh, I found some coke in someone's house. Yeah. I'll take a bump of coke."
Right.
"Oh, I found a beautiful motorbike in a garage. I'll just take the garage." Yeah. Like he's sort of living for the moment. I mean, I guess he's meant to be sort of he presents himself as someone who's not bogged down to the past and who doesn't really have unfinished business, even though the movie slowly undoes that perception. Especially like by the end when you learn like, no, like he came here for a reason too. And, you know, even if it's kind of half baked, he has things weighing him down just as Ava does. It's just the paths that they take towards achieving catharsis or achieving closure are different, you know? So I think he's meant to be more of like a contrast than a character in his own right. And I think it shows a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm willing to do a little bit of hand waving.
He's a bit of plot convenience. I think if you were to enrich him a little more,
yeah,
just a little. I don't think we need much. Yeah, it's not the movie's not about this guy, right? No. It's about her, and that's fine. I don't need him to have that much depth, but not so much from like, okay, plot device, not a character, right?
Well, and one thing that I did like about his character that I thought was like thoughtfully done is that when Ava discovers the baby at the end, he's the one who actually knows how to take care of an infant because he has a child. So he's like, "Oh, here, take my coat, wrap her in the coat, da-da-da-da-da." Like, he's a father.
That's a good observation.
And so, he's able to sort of supplement, like, she has desire for a child, but no wisdom, no knowledge.
Yeah, fortunately, the movie does not try to make a couple out of these two.
No, I like their weird relationship. Yeah. Like, you know, could I imagine them sleeping together or something? I guess so, but it's not really about that. Like, it's more like just a study of like the things that people do to just try and find closure. And the way they offset one another. Sometimes they make things easier for one another. Sometimes they make it harder for one another, or they abandon one another in critical moments. And then they come back together, you know? So, yeah. I have one thing that I want to say.
Let's do it.
This is kind of a cheat. It's a cheat.
Right.
Because it works for the movie. I just have to note that the sound of the dead grinding their teeth makes me want to crawl out of my own skin.
Oh, sure.
So really, really, really good job, sound designer. You have made me want to blow my brains out every time I watch it.
So
because
that's in the what's not working section?
Well, because it doesn't work for me because it makes me wish I was dead.
Okay, sure.
But you could also say that's very effective. You know what I mean? So that's my cheat.
I like it. I like the touch that she's being pursued by a zombie who she doesn't hear because she at the time is on the highway.
She's crunching on glass.
Yeah, there are a bunch of vehicles that have crashed because everybody died instantly. So all the vehicles crashed, any car in motion. So she's crunching on glass and doesn't hear the grinding of the teeth. So it's like that's a clever little observation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so strange, but it's so like emblematic of frustration. You know, like grinding your teeth.
It's an anxious thing to do.
Yeah, anxious is a sign of agitation.
There is much gnashing of teeth.
Yeah, absolutely. If not wailing. So yeah, great detail, but thanks but no thanks.
Okay.
Wish you hadn't, but I'm glad you did. But yeah, I think we've covered what's important.
I have nothing else to. I mean, as we read our summaries, I'll point out little things that I want to talk about. But yeah, there's not really. I mean, there's almost all of the weight is going to go towards that middle section. I mean, that is like a third of the movie in a way.
Yeah,
this is a short movie.
Well, this is a movie of.
I think it's something
pieces.
like 95 minutes.
95 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when your big tentpole piece doesn't work,
right,
that's a real problem.
Yeah.
So, listen, I'm going to go clack my wedding ring ominously against the rim of a bathtub, but then I'll be back with my revision.
Oh, okay. Well, before we do our thing, I thought you and I actually could enjoy a really nice slow dance. But just do me a favor and put on this dress and these earbuds. Maybe don't ask any questions. And then I'll be back with my revision. And we're back. Time for these revisions. You first, dear.
So I'm up first. I do just want to say, I did enjoy your interstitial this time, though it doesn't quite work because we are married. So, I can't really pretend to be myself. I mean, I guess I do it every day, LOL, but, no, it can only take you so far.
That's true.
All right. So let's get started.
This movie is so simple that it was hard to come up with something. That was the best I could do.
I agree. No, look, I'm into it. So, okay, as is tradition at this point, I have sort of a prefacing comment to make about my revision.
Okay.
Which is just that, to me, there's just the one thing that I don't really love about this movie. Mm-hmm. And it's the middle that we spend so much time talking about. So rather than kind of doing like a systematic revision of the whole movie, I really just focused my attention on that sequence. But because that was the only thing that I was particularly interested in changing, I really unpacked it. Mm-hmm. So I expanded that. I wrote it in more detail than I would ordinarily.
Okay.
So, you'll see what you think.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get to the page. It's way in there. It's on page 5 of 6.
Okay, so you didn't change anything leading.
Yeah, look. Okay, there's stuff that you could, but they're honestly, I just wanted.
No,
to give
I'm interested.
This...
Mine's not dissimilar.
Yeah,
I mean not to the same degree, but I'm really okay.
Yeah,
great.
I'm honing in.
Okay,
I'm locking in.
Great.
I wanted to give this sort of the 5-star treatment.
Great.
So we'll see what you think. All right. So everything up into the point where she has dinner with Riley the soldier. They have the dance. It falls apart. It kind of disintegrates, and then she flees. And flees, climbs down the tree, leaves the property after seeing that Katy, the dead wife, is actually reanimated. Mm-hmm. So I'll pick up. Ava makes a break for a shed on the property, but when Riley realizes where she's headed, he begs her to stop, sounding genuinely panicked. Ava does not heed his words and wrenches open the corrugated metal door. It is then that she discovers that Riley has chained up many of the undead inside the dark, cavernous space. Ava stands on the threshold of the shed, mesmerized by the sight of milky eyes gleaming in the darkness. Riley, who has seemingly regained his composure, attempts to persuade Ava not to go inside the shed, apologizing for frightening her and saying that loneliness has sent him a little out of his mind. The undead sway in the moonlight, watching Ava as closely as she watches them. From somewhere deep in the shed, there is a faint clacking of teeth. Without turning to face Riley, Ava asks him why he has captured so many of the dead. I needed to see what would happen, how long they could last like this. If Katy could live long enough to give birth, he says. Ava barely comprehends Riley's answer, For at the back of the crowd of the dead stands Mitch, alive and well. Ava strains to see him. "Please come back, Ava," Riley urges. "Please, I'll keep my promise. I'll take you to find your husband. I just need someone to nurse the baby when he comes. I'll do anything. Please, Ava, he'll die without you." The dead grow more restless, shifting from foot to foot and grinding their teeth in greater numbers. Ava tosses a quick glance over her shoulder at Riley, but her attention quickly snaps back to Mitch, who beckons to her from the crowd. Turning, he walks into the shadows. Ava follows, wading through the sea of the dead in pursuit of her husband. Riley cries out in alarm. As Ava brushes against the dead, some regard her, though make no attempt to harm her, while others ignore her altogether. A few recoil jerkily from her touch, as though disgusted. Swearing, Riley follows Ava into the shed and yanks the door shut behind him. Near the back, Ava finds an undead woman who slightly resembles her. She grinds her teeth loudly. Ava kneels down on the ground, joining Mitch, who studies the metal spike keeping the woman chained in place. Ava's hands flutter to the spike. She gives it an experimental pull. Mitch smiles at her encouragingly. Ava tugs at it again, but it is hammered in deep and does not move. Meanwhile, Riley picks his way delicately towards Ava, skirting the undead as best he can. Ava exchanges a glance with Mitch. Mitch places his hands on top of hers and helps her to pull on the spike until it releases. The undead woman lumbers away, crashing into her fellow undead, who grow more agitated in response. The woman tackles Riley and begins beating him with her fists. The nearby undead join her in a cacophony of clattering chains and splintering teeth. As Riley screams, Ava slips out of the shed and shuts the door behind her once more. After a moment, the screams cut off, leaving only the sounds of the restless dead swarming inside. Ava, quivering with confused terror, walks quickly back to the farmhouse and retrieves Riley's car keys. She climbs into the car and starts the engine. As the headlights flicker on, she is shocked to see a reanimated Katy standing in front of the house and watching her. The two women watch one another intently. Very slowly, with an almost dancerly grace, Katy cups one hand beneath her protruding stomach in the familiar gesture of a pregnant woman. With a sudden jolt, Ava puts the car in reverse and flees. So that's how I have that segment conclude. And then I have one tiny other piece that is when it picks back up when Ava has found Mitch just dead at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
As Ava despairs at leaving things unfinished with Mitch, Clay finds her at the hotel. The two bond. Ava and Clay sit on a rocky bluff overlooking the sea, and they drink together. Ava says that her and Mitch's fertility struggles formed a rift in their marriage, though she corrects herself, saying it wasn't about wanting a baby. I wanted him to... She trails off. Clay looks at her as though he understands what she could not say. After a moment's pause, she admits to hooking up with someone and confessing it to Mitch shortly before his departure to Tasmania. In turn, Clay tells Ava that his wife and daughter were not killed in the blast, as she suspected. Instead, they are alive and well and want nothing to do with him. He joined up with the corpse retrieval effort to prove to them that he's heroic. After spending the night at the resort, the two place Mitch's body in a motorboat that they set on fire as they send it out to sea. So that part is almost exactly the same. I just wanted to have Ava, try and make a little bit more of a statement on, what is it? What was my unfinished business? What did I want? Did I want a baby with Mitch? Or did I just want Mitch to want it as badly as I did? You know? And she doesn't finish the sentence. I didn't want to tie it off too neatly. But, at this point, her quest has been kind of thwarted. And so I wanted her to be struggling to come up with like the justification for everything that she's done up to this point. But to address like the middle section, like I said, I personally find that most of those elements would work if done in a different way. I'm curious to know what you think.
I'll tell you what I think.
Oh, please do.
By reading to you how I handled it differently.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so sounds like we've got a real ring-a-ding-ding on our hands here. Give me the good stuff.
Okay. I mean, should I just dive right in?
Well, is there anything we should say about mine? I mean, I know mine was very fast.
Yeah. Yours is, wow, it was really lean.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah?
I admire their restraint.
I'm usually pretty verbose, I understand.
Yeah, it's very different. I'm really...
usually very Byzantine. Usually takes me hours.
Yeah.
I
Normally I have a whole bottle of scotch here that I'm able to polish off in that time.
You smoke a cigar.
I'm really disappointed that I wasn't able to finish that.
You get dressed in your smoking jacket. Yeah. No, I just wanted to simplify and hopefully refine, but let's hear yours, and then maybe we can have a bit of extra chat on the end.
Okay.
Since we're moving more quickly.
All right. Absolutely. That'll work. So I did change a couple of small things right at the beginning. But they're pretty negligible. I will share them. But what's interesting, I'm going to check in with you because I think I've done something that's fairly fun with my revision. Fun for dweebs like us. It's not fun. Nobody else will care. But I would like it. I'm going to check in with you and see if you figure out what I've done here. Because the movie's not going to spell it out. So if this were put to film right now, it would not be spelled out. But I've made the movie into a slight retelling of something.
Oh, I hope that I'm like smart enough to figure this out.
Well, this is subtle, so I don't think it would be. So
I wouldn't lose my street cred if I didn't guess.
I don't think so. But, so the changes here. The movie opens at a wedding. The bride and groom sit next to one another and discuss, here's the change, their plans for the honeymoon. So this is a minor point of friction for me because the movie starts, it sounds like they're putting together a list of people to invite to their wedding while they were at their own wedding.
Yeah.
Which is the context of that is that where are they? What are they doing? And like, oh, she's there. So I guess they're at another wedding because they're talking about who they're going to invite to their own wedding.
But she's dressed in white.
She's dressed in white.
It's weird.
Yeah, so that's distracting. So we can streamline that just a touch. That's a mild change. We have no other changes up to the point where Ava is on her way to Tasmania. So the flight, rather than flying to Tasmania, as the movie presents it, she actually flies to Australia, and she boards a massive military transport ship. So the scenes that we have in the movie where she's in a hangar, and she's going through a waiting area and is giving her ID and that whole thing, that is no longer happening on the hangar. It's happening on this military transport ship. That's important to the retelling of the story. So that's a little clue to you that's a relevant detail. But it changes for our purpose. This in any other context, this would not matter at all. So just be aware of that. So we proceed on. I don't think I have any changes at all until we reach the point that they are, it's the second day, and they are going into the aftermath of the bachelor party. So this is where the changes begin. So Ava, to be clear, is still American in my revision. So I have kept that detail. But it's going to be hopefully a little more relevant here. But it proceeds. Ava wanders to the back of the party and finds Clay, who offers her a drink. Oh, that's right. Yeah, this is the scene at the night beforehand. Yeah, that's where we are. So the party. She asks why he's there. He says that he's there to impress his wife and daughter. He asks the same of her. She explains that her husband, Mitch, was touring. As Clay raises his eyebrow, she explains that her husband is a musician. Clay is briefly excited until she explains that he was with a symphony orchestra that just played in Hobart, that they were staying afterwards at a hotel in Woodbridge. So, there is a subtle change here, other than just the character details. Clay no longer works for, in the movie, not Clay. Mitch in the movie worked for, in green energy, renewable energy. So that whatever that business was, we didn't get much in the way of details, but that's the company he works for. So here, he's a musician. That's why he's touring. But we also have the fact that impressing his wife and daughter thing from Clay. So we have that information given much earlier. That's now here. So we proceed. Ava and Clay continue their work the following morning. Speaking with a little more familiarity than in the previous day, Ava asks him if he's worried about working with an American. He says that the way he sees it, physical therapists don't have much to do with experimental weapons. I want that bond to be a little more apparent, and that's a way for them to become a little more close.
Yeah.
Is for him to be like, oh, I see you're married. I don't care. Like, that's not important to me. And you really do, what we do have as a character already in the movie, you appreciate why that guy really wouldn't
give us shit.
Yeah, he's just not, he doesn't look at the world in that way. So it's easy to accept that change, I think. Anyway, so they proceed. He does coke. Then Clay refuses. So the way, sorry, I've distracted myself with that whole thing.
Wait, are you thinking about Tom Diddler again?
I am now. So Clay has that moment where he does cocaine. She pitches that they make the break for south of Hobart to go to Woodbridge. He accepts it. He refuses initially. He says that his country and the dead need him, but he reveals that he's joking. Ava asks if he is agreeing to this just because of the coke, but he says she better hurry before it wears off. So we're actually bringing a little bit of attention to it, which I think will make it a little more acceptable. So at this point, we do have a little bit more of him. We understand their bond a little bit more. We're actually connecting like this drug use and the general impulsiveness and things that we've seen with this character with his willingness to do this. So I think this is a rare case for me. I'm not positive that I'm right on this. A good screenwriter might say, no, that's not going to work. And they're probably right if they do. But I think this might be a case where actually calling attention to it is going to make it something we accept a little more readily.
Sure.
That choice for him to do that. But we proceed. I don't have any changes up to the point where they are in, I think it's a restaurant or a gas station where they stop and she actually gives him the massage. All right, so we see him shirtless. So, while resting in an abandoned petrol station, yeah, that's where we are, Clay finally convinces Ava to give him a massage. As she does, they talk, and she asks him if he lost anyone in the blast, noting that he has a tattoo of a mother and child, in addition to a stylized tattoo of a three-headed dog that looks like a gang symbol. Clay hesitates, glancing at his tattoo, provoking Ava to apologize for asking. He corrects her, saying yes, but not in the same way as her. His wife wants nothing to do with him. He thought she'd see him differently if he signed up, but it made no difference. He says that she got the spot as he puts his shirt back on. So that moment, that's the end of the movie where we actually get that from Clay. I like that moment. I want to give him a little more depth. That's great. But I don't like where it is in the movie because that's moment for her. That's her big reveal, right, of what's motivating her. That's a big moment for her, and I don't want them to just be like trading traumas in that moment. So I like him. I want to have that same moment just differently.
Let it breathe a little.
Yeah, let her moment breathe later. Let him have his moment now. That's okay. So there's a choice there. So giving you a couple clues. Have you picked up on it yet?
I'm thinking really
Retelling?
hard.
Should I give you a hint?
Give me a hint.
Think mythology.
I might have a guess.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, maybe this is too basic, but it's giving kind of like the Odyssey.
No.
No?
No, not the Odyssey.
Okay.
All
All right.
All right, so we'll proceed. And we'll see if
someone
something...
searching for their spouse.
Right.
You know.
Okay, so at the last minute, a lone soldier named Riley saves them, shooting the undead and knifing him when the corpse continues to clack its teeth. After some initial questions from Riley, Clay asks where the rest of the soldiers are. Riley says that he is a scout on a solo mission, and that he is in charge of everything south of Hobart.
Is it Hades and Persephone?
Yeah, partially.
Okay.
Yeah, you're close. Yeah, you're close.
I'm close.
That's not what I mean, but yes, that's part of it.
Okay. Okay.
So, he's a musician.
Oh, Orpheus.
Yeah.
Right.
So I thought it would be fun to put in little details through this movie, and let's make it a gender swapped, like a role swap version of Orpheus and Eurydice.
Yes, I see. So Eurydice is pursuing Orpheus rather than the other way around.
Orpheus is a musician.
God, I'm embarrassed that it took me that
long. No, this is
good. There's a lot of parted spouses.
Yeah.
In Greco-Roman mythology.
Hades and Persephone. So Persephone rises.
Mm-hmm.
As does Katy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a fairly natural fit.
It's layered, dude.
Yeah. That's why I kept Ava an American. I want that sense of descending to the underworld, the land down under. Didn't see that shit coming, did you?
Oh my god, listener, there are times that I really wish this was like a video podcast.
So you can see my face?
Yes. Yeah. The look that you just gave me, I'm gonna take that to my grave. I'm gonna take that to the land down under.
That's great. That's great.
Okay, sorry, I did not mean to derail your thing.
That's okay. But little things, let's give it some depth here, because this story's so simple. And I think that even if we take out all of the mistakes that I think you and I think this movie make, I don't think this is going to be a 5-star movie. And so I want to give it a few things that just give it a little bit of depth, just make it of interest. And I think that's a way of doing that. So if we make it a retelling of Orpheus and Eurydice, I think that's a way of doing it.
Yes.
So we proceed. So again, I don't change anything. Here we go. So there is a slight change in dialogue. So Riley actually says to her, like, at one point, like, I'm going to take you to find your husband. Closure is important. I'm changing the language slightly. I want him to say closure is important to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
That the moving forward thing is going to be important to the story, because I want to use the Orpheus and Eurydice thing. Orpheus, for anybody who's unfamiliar with the legend, Orpheus, he was a musician. He played the lyre. I'm keeping it ambiguous what musician or what instrument he plays, because the lyre, there is no equivalent in orchestra or symphonies except for the harp.
Like a stringed.
Yeah, so the harp would be the closest thing, except that's so female coded that it would be really distracting. Like that's so. I mean, I'm surely that 95% of harp players are female, right? So that's going to be so gender coded that I didn't want to.
Oh my god, he should play something really like weird and just like that pulls focus, like the glockenspiel or something.
Why not? Yeah,
sorry, keep
going. She's going to save the dead piccolo player,
the timpani player.
Anyway, so in Orpheus and Eurydice, Orpheus is he plays the lyre, and he goes to the underworld to retrieve his dead wife, and he charms Cerberus, who is the 3-headed dog, who in this movie is going to be Clay, and Hades with his music, because his music is so beautiful. And he says, okay, you can take Eurydice out of Hades, that's fine, but you cannot turn back to face her, and if you do, then she will be trapped here forever, which he succumbs to the temptation of doing that, and that's how the story ends in tragedy. So moving forward and looking back are going to be important elements. But I'm using that, like the idea of moving forward is like a moving on from death, right? Like we're sort of playing with those ideas, moving forward. Literally, the language of moving forward, looking back, the motion of that versus the way that language uses is a metaphor for death and life and so on. Closure. Anyway, so all of that to say, we have the moment where she puts on the dress, that whole thing. Riley, there's a knock on the door. Riley asks if she is ready. She says she's not going to take her ring off. Riley says it's okay, that Katy still has it. So, at this point in the movie, we've actually been led to believe, falsely, that Katy's dead and buried. Which entombing somebody with their wedding ring would not be unusual to do. Yeah. So, like, at this point, you're going to accept her.
She was buried with her ring.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, a little bit of a red herring as to what actually has become of Katy, or Persephone, if we prefer. But I also, the wedding ring thing, I didn't want to necessarily linger on that, because a wedding ring, I don't find it terribly credible that he's going to fixate on the ring so much. Because for the most part, that's not an object that men ascribe that much meaning to, like literally the act of putting on the ring, but the distinct ring itself as an object, I don't think they would recognize them as much. Like, I think they're kind of an interchangeable thing. Like, I would say for you, if you were to swap out your ring for a different ring that looked kind of like it, I probably wouldn't notice that shit for a few months. But I would identify you much more readily by the clothing that you wear. Of course. That's going to be the recognizable thing to me.
Yeah, well, and interestingly in the movie, like, she's the one who glances at Riley's hand to see that he still wears a ring. So.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So I wanted to acknowledge but also de-emphasize the ring. I don't think that's as important. So we proceed. Riley kneels to rest his head against his wife's pregnant belly. Here's where changes happen. She caresses his head, and as he rises, they share a deep kiss. After a moment of their embrace, she flinches and pulls away, removing the earbud. Silently, Riley looks to the side, his eyes wet and with a look of longing and regret. Ava excuses herself for the bathroom. Walking through the dark house, she enters a room, locks the door behind her, and, feeling along the wall for a switch, turns the light on. Revealed there is the reanimated, pregnant corpse of a woman. The ring on her finger confirms her to be Katy. Riley's deceased wife. Riley comes barreling down the hallway to knock on the door. He tells Ava that he's alive. I felt him kick. Horrified, Ava stares at the deceased Katy, but she stares right back, embracing her belly. From the other side of the door, Riley says, I'm not a monster. This is what you want, isn't it? Barely breaking her gaze, Katy reaches behind her and unlocks the door. Excuse me, not Katy. Ava reaches behind her and unlocks the door. Riley opens it and, not without nervousness, pulls Ava from the room. After a wordless moment and a mutual catching of breath, he tells her that he has something to show her. Riley takes her to a shed on the property, where she is shocked to find many undead chained up, with notes from where Riley had been researching their behavior. Riley tells her that he believes the reason only some come back to life is that they are the ones with unfinished business, like Katy with her dream of becoming a mother. He has gathered a number of them by now and notes that they are growing more agitated by the day. He goes on to say that he didn't know what else to do, but if they needed something so desperately that they would come back, he couldn't take that from them. The imprisoned dead become more and more restless. Ava is shocked into wordlessness. Thinking for a moment, he reaches into his pocket and gives Ava the keys to his vehicle. He says that he's not going anywhere for a while and tells her to find her husband. As she leaves, A flashback is seen in which a crying Ava pleads for Mitch to stay, which he refuses to do. So there are a few things that are happening here that are different in this exchange. So I wanted them to actually be so in their fantasy that they share a kiss. But then in realizing, okay, that's going to break it. Like they are not able to sustain the fantasy that far.
Sure.
Like once they do that, like, okay, this isn't, I've
a...
crossed it. Like this isn't, my imagination, my powers of imagination are not so great that I can make this work. And in so doing
kiss.
they sort of regret it too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I feel like I cheated on my partner. Like it was an accidental, like a mutual regret.
Yeah.
But I love the intimacy of this moment. I don't want it to break down. I want it to be an equalizing moment for them.
Yeah.
So this stuff, I really, really like everything about this. I like everything that leads up to it. I like her being afraid and not knowing if she's going to be harmed by this guy, and then understanding, coming to realize who he is.
That they're kind of the same. Yeah.
I like that so much. But as for the Orpheus and Eurydice thing, she is not a musician, but they do bond over music. So we do keep that. That's why I also was earlier saying that he is in charge of everything south of Hobart. So he is the king of hell. Right. Sort of.
No, it plays.
Yeah.
It plays beautifully.
It works. That's part why we've done some of those things. That's why I'm keeping him as the person who is imprisoning the dead. Because he's still that works for him as being Hades. We're maintaining that, so that it keeps parity with the myth, at least to a degree. I mean, I understand Hades is not hell, but in Greek myth, nevertheless,
the afterlife, the underworld, the netherworld,
right? So, she leaves at night. Ava drives through. Towards Woodbridge until a truck blocking the road forces her to continue on foot. I'm changing some stuff that's during the day. I want to keep at night because I don't want the relief to come until she actually arrives to the hotel. So making a very subtle change there, but I want to have that idea that she's further descending into the underworld,
like
right?
A deeper layer.
Yeah,
sure.
So I want that to be maintained for as long as we can. We did have a brief moment where she changes out of Katy's dress because she finds some luggage. We're removing that because you can presume that she's changed before she left, right? That's all fine. So that we change. So we proceed. Everything remains the same. We here, except of course we're cutting out Clay's moment, that confession that his wife and daughter want nothing to do with him. We can accept that moment a little more early anyway, because we also have like the gang tattoo, so you can accept like, okay, this guy's maybe a little bit of a criminal, right? So, but that moment is not going to be here, as previously said. The only other thing is when they have that big moment at the end, when she has that moment, like, aren't we going to fix this? What are we going to? I really want to slow that scene down. It feels like it resolves too quickly. Like I want. I don't know if his editing. The movie's only 95 minutes. I want to spend like an extra minute or two there. Yeah. Let your actor act, right? Because I want to see her vacillating between emotions there. I want to see anger. I want to see her understanding that her marriage is as profoundly ended as she hoped it wasn't going to be. I want all of that to be really, let her linger there, because it's so wrapped up quickly, right? So I like the ending a lot, but the brevity of that moment undercuts its impact, I think, some. Otherwise, the only thing that changes from this point on, so as they are resuming their travel, so they're returning to Hobart and beyond. They're returning back to the army. They're driving back. As the two make their way back north, they encounter Katy, whose dress is now bloodstained around her hips. Looking at the bed and breakfast in the distance, she sees a number of undead who have apparently escaped their bonds, as well as the corpse of Riley laying in the driveway. Katy stares intently at Ava and Clay, so everything with the baby proceeds along from here. But Riley is a problem for us in the story. We do need him to be dispatched because there's no way for Ava to walk away with his baby. Otherwise,
right.
That's it. He has to be dead. That character will not let that happen otherwise. Given that we see the undead in a state of agitation, it's easy enough to accept that one of them would have broken out and him have died, which is what we see here at this point. Otherwise, yeah, almost all of the changes are going to be really concentrated in the middle. But what I really like about the idea of this here is that she is ultimately, it's kind of backwards, right? She's where Orpheus looks back. Ultimately, she's moving forward, right? I think that's an interesting idea. Like just reversing the genders, like reversing who's the lead character of that story.
Yeah, it's like Orpheus won't follow her out of the underworld. He's just dead.
Right.
And so she just has to move on.
Yeah, so we're making some changes and just giving it a little bit of richness, a little bit of texture.
Yeah, a little. God, I feel like there's a real role reversal happening here. You bringing in the sort of the literary or
yeah, it's a more you move
ties.
Than it is a me move as a tendency. Yeah,
whereas I think mine,
look, I'm classy too.
You're no, look, you got an MFA, baby. You know that stuff.
I do want to point out that in the last movie I had somebody swinging from her boyfriend's disemboweled intestines, hanging off a cliff's edge.
It's true. You contain multitudes. That's the thing, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But I feel like the revision that I did pulls more of a you move as well. Where I'm trying to take what's
We're doing
already
each other's
there
revisions this time.
Yeah, it kind of feels that way. I really like both of our revisions, honestly. For me, with mine, I really just wanted to, I don't know, suggest, like, for this person who's trapped in the past and who can identify more with the dead than the living, like, there kind of is no catharsis until she can truly let the past go. Like you can't be in love with death and the dead and truly be like in life. You have to kind of choose one or the other to devote yourself to. And I think we're doing some similar things here, just in terms of like letting the movie take its time a little bit and not like rush to the simplest solution. I really like your revision a lot. I love the mythological underpinnings. I love the choice to make Clay a little bit more of like a character than a contrivance. I think it works really well. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and yours, it's difficult for me to be as complimentary because yours is so simple. Your changes, it's good stuff.
Well, it's like I was saying during the workshop, I think the middle part could work with very minimal changes. You just got to be kind of surgical about it.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't take the easy path. And so that's what I tried to do. That was my experiment.
It is funny that we resolved that in different ways, though, despite the fact we were so in agreement about its problems.
Though we both had the undead be the ones to kill Riley rather than...
Yeah, that's true.
Ava kind of, hastens it along a little bit in my version.
Yeah.
But in my mind,
I really like the flashbacks to Mitch in your version of that.
Thank you.
During that moment.
Well, and in my mind, it wasn't so much like she was doing an act of aggression against Riley. It was more that like she was so invested in Mitch and the idea of Mitch that she kind of couldn't even think about what was happening behind her. Like she's just thinking about what she sees as her path forward, her husband who is dead. I also I'm imagining this would come through a little bit more clearly, like, were this to be filmed, but I wanted there to be kind of a moment where, like, the undead woman that she unchains kind of looks like her. And so, like, you see this almost dead version of Ava, like, wreaking the havoc that she kind of can't as a living person. But I feel like I could play that element up more on further revision. But yeah, I don't know. I think this movie doesn't need a lot to elevate it even more, you know?
Well, and what's I think worth mentioning in my case is that the Orpheus and Eurydice retelling, I didn't do a lot to make that happen, right? It's really all there. The movie feels like it's crying out for it.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel intentional, to be clear. Like, I don't think I've just figured something out about the movie that nobody else did. I don't think it's because I'm a great viewer. I think it's not there. But it requires so little. It's so structured like that already.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was just the thought. Like, giving it that little bit of texture kind of also is a very small change in some respects.
No, but that's the thing. Like the ways that we talk about death and the way that we think about death is so sort of codified in culture. You know, like these like people have been grappling with the same problems of death since there was sentient life. You know, like. Just the human agony of losing someone when you're not ready to have lost them yet.
Right. That's why a Greek myth can still be of interest to you now.
Of course, they're timeless.
Yeah, that world is very alien in many ways, but at the same time, human struggles, you recognize them.
Did you know there's actually a continuation of the Orpheus myth? I mean, there are Orphic cults that, there's a whole world of that stuff, but it's really interesting. Orpheus dallies with the Bacchantes and they tear his head off, but I think because he's gone to the underworld, his headless body, his bodiless head doesn't die, and it floats down a river singing and weeping. And I think it's picked up by Hermes or something. I mean, I know the Sandman
those stories
comic
go way on.
Oh yeah, it's fascinating
told
though.
And retold.
Yeah, but I'm continually fascinated by the way the dead just don't lie quietly, as a concept, you know.
Yeah, and Eurydice in some tellings was killed by a snake,
a serpent biting her heel.
Yeah, which and not on all versions is that the case, but I was thinking certainly a rogue state actually killing you.
I mean, it's not poison, but a quote unquote poisonous,
Yeah, it seemed like that. Yeah. That was itself something that kind of already fit.
Yeah, just this freak contamination of the body that just puts grinds everything to a halt.
Yeah,
all life stops on Tasmania.
Yeah.
It really works.
I really like the idea, but again, for me, what powers it is that. As a reversal, if you're going to have Eurydice be your lead instead, Orpheus, his whole thing is don't look back, right? That's how his story ends, is looking back, and which is the tragedy. Whereas for her, she spends the whole movie you think that she's moving forward. That's the kind of the idea, but really she's looking back. The whole movie, and for her to have any kind of resolution, she actually needs to look forward.
Yeah, well, and there's something to be said too about. I mean, in some retellings of the Orpheus and Eurydice myth, where they reunite in death or whatever, eventually, Eurydice feels a lot of resentment towards Orpheus for failing at the task. And so I think there's something interesting about Ava resenting Mitch because he couldn't come back.
Yeah, I'm not super duper familiar with the myth, so they're probably ways you could further create comparisons or ways in which they are already more alike than I realize.
Sure.
But, yeah.
But I think you've gestured at something that's a natural fit here. I'm into it. I'm all about it. I love it. All
right. So, folks, which revision would you most like to see on screen? What movie would you like to see us cover next? Let us know at thedevilsworkshoppod@gmail.com.